So briefly today, we're just going to kind of go over some parts of marketing efforts. We've been guilty. We've tried all kinds of different marketing things, but we haven't been tracking the results.
No, and not staying consistent as well.
Yeah. So without tracking the results, you can just look at last weekend and go, "Oh, that was a dud. I'm never doing that again."
But if we don't learn from it,
But we don't learn from it, so maybe it wasn't a dud. Maybe I did something wrong. If I'm not tracking the data, I don't know. So if you're tracking your marketing data, then you can optimize your strategies. You can decide where to allocate your marketing budget, if you have any. Let's just be honest. Most of us just go, "Hey, let me try this. I'm going to do 11%. We haven't gone through and did a budget. Ultimately, you want to try to outperform, your competitors. So one of the things to track is the performance of your promoted listings. Even though we didn't really put the data in there, we can kind of get a good idea. And she touched on it a little bit. It's not everything, but promoted listings for us, we do we do them both. We do the general one. And in general, we choose dynamic.
because you handle all the promotional stuff. Explain this to me on 5th grade level, because I still struggle to understand dynamic and general and offsite and like what are
So they have really two
categories?
different categories. There's general and then the stuff that's offsite. The general, the way that that's set up is that you've chosen an amount. So you can choose a different amount for every single item if that's what you want to do. And so someone might say, you know what, this item, highly sought after,
Don't
great
need it.
sell-through rate, I'm the only one that's got it, don't need it. And you can just put 0. Or, if you're in a highly competitive thing like clothes, then you better have some, promotion on there, and you might bump up to the higher thing. You might say, I'm going to do everything at 5%, or I'm going to do everything at 10%. Those are fixed over here in the general compartment. There's one other option, which is considered dynamic inside general. And dynamic means that whatever the market is demanding for the day. So it's going to change every
that's
day.
complicated.
Yeah. And it's a lot more complicated now because we just got hit with this, but we just learned that someone might touch on an item, they clicked on it, that it was promoted, but they ended up buying something that was not promoted, and we still got dinged for the promotion. So that's a new thing.
Case here, or is that the one? Was that what we were reading or hearing about that is being practiced in other places, and it may come to the U.S. market?
Well, depends, and that's why I'm going to kind of leave it right there because there's a lot more homework that needs to be done. It's kind of a new thing, but I just noticed something that says on one of our recent sales that stated in there, this person clicked on something else. But then there's over here, the offsite stuff is totally different. We decided we were going to try it. We decided we were going to give it more than 30 days. I think they talk like, this thing's really not going to kick in for 60 to 90 days.
Are we pushing 90 days now?
I think we are. So, end of the month is the plan to evaluate everything for us, which is coming up this weekend, really. And so in that scenario, every time somebody clicks through, we got to pay for it. Now,
Even if they don't purchase?
Even if they don't purchase.
So
now over here,
promotional listings means you don't...
well, they're both promotional.
Okay.
But over here in general, you only pay...
In general, with general promotional listings, you get charged...
Only
when they click on the item and purchase the item. Then you pay a promotional fee. If they find you organically, which I don't know how that happens.
But we have seen certain ones that didn't get charged.
But now there is the potential that you...
Now it's potential, it doesn't matter. You're just going to, might as well just say we're all getting charged.
Yikes. Okay.
But offsite, whether they buy it or not, it doesn't make any difference. You're still getting charged. So far, and
for every click.
Yeah. And I have chosen not to put anything on offsite promotion that's a lower priced item. It needs to be a high end suit or something like that. And those are we do have quite a few suits and blazers and coats and, that kind of stuff, dresses.
And we have sold like a suit and a blazer.
We have. And guess
with
what?
that.
Pretty much the exact amount that we sold things for is how much we paid in off-site promotion. So we paid
Somebody to take it from us.
somebody to take it from us, and I could have just not picked it up at all. I don't know. It's not like anybody goes into great detail to help you understand that this is a long game and this is how it works. The funny thing is when they make stuff like we recommend that you do this and this and this, I'm like, this is a $20 item that once y'all already take out XYZ from it, and then somebody clicks on it about 15,000 times because it's interesting. Like we have a women's dress, and we in the title is like Mother of the Bride.
Mother of the Bride.
That thing had 15,000 people look at it, and we paid for every one of them to come look at it. Nobody bought anything, but they all came in looking. So these are metrics, that you need to know, and you need to do certain things. But before you know what you need to know, you've got to track some stuff to figure out
If it's worth it.
if it's worth it. Because, if you're not tracking this information, what you might find out is that this is eroding your profits. Why is this important? Well, visibility is important. And in men's clothing, so it depends on what your items is or whatever. But like if you're competing against thousands of people for the same exact
Buyers.
one, like you're going to have to promote somehow. Just how that works. So, there's different things about item-specific insights and, just having a competitive edge by tracking that stuff and seeing, hey, this works for this, but it doesn't work for that at all. So another one is like social media advertising. So for us, and we're kind of in a dilemma, we don't really know. We know we want to do it. We just don't know.
So much conflicting information.
Yeah,
about-
what's best? How to do this properly? Should you do this stuff on your personal social media, or should your store, if you have a store, should it have its separate social media? Because we hear people talk about YouTube all the time, and they say, well, what you don't want is a bunch of people coming to look at your stuff with no intentions of keep watching it.
Right.
My sister-in-law has a YouTube channel. Come here and check this out. Oh, I don't like those videos. I'm gone. Well, that tells YouTube this ain't working for people. Our thoughts are, if we post some stuff on our personal social media, then our friends and family will come. They don't want my stuff. Like they're not my size.
Like my sister's not looking for men's pants.
Yeah. So, but she might come check it out and then leave and not buy anything. What did that just tell eBay?
Ooh, they don't have anything good.
Yeah. So we're struggling with the social media advertising part of it because I think we're kind of leaning towards the fact that our store needs to have its own
Media.
social media, and that's for the purpose of total stranger is looking for that item. And that's where we are. We have not really done anything with that yet because we've gone kind of back and forth as to, what the best approach about that is. But we need to, because
Right.
if you send somebody, I'm trying to remember exactly which order it happens, but I know if someone sends me an offer, and if I hit, my phone, I think it's the way it works the most. If I send somebody like a counter offer or whatever, sometimes if you were to hit it again, it says, well, you've already sent an offer or whatever. Do you want to share it? And that's a quick and easy way
Oh.
to share
Okay.
on social media. So,
I don't see this because I don't deal with offers.
yeah. So
Restricted access.
yeah. It's not licensed. When you're doing those, you're going to want to check like which social media. I would think Facebook probably. Funny thing is, we still think Facebook is for kids, but our kids say
No,
Facebook is
no,
for
no.
us. There's a lot of stuff that you have to try and see what works, because what's going to work for me is not going to necessarily work for you. So those are all metrics and performance that you want to know, because you want to know, like, first you need to know really like
Where your people are.
who's your audience. it was kind of hard for me to think that the stuff I was picking out was for grandpas. You know, does that look like a grandpa jacket back there? But you know what? That's jackets I would wear.
And you're a grandpa.
And I'm a grandpa. So, so anyway, channel effectiveness. You know,
I think the interesting thing is that Grandpa Core includes the things that your dad wore that that you would not wear, but then there are a lot of things that you wear that he did wear as well. So it's broader than just one, than like his wardrobe. It's like his wardrobe plus your wardrobe plus a little bit younger.
Yeah, well, I don't consider my stuff retro or
But
vintage.
you're retro, baby.
But I am. What did we just hear? Like, what are we at the 40th high school anniversary?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness.
So we are vintage.
We're beyond vintage, baby. We are antique.
So Hope did live up to her challenge, and she did send out an email through, it's a newsletter thing through eBay. Okay. But what did you track from that?
I did not even look at it.
We don't even know how you would track that, except for
you can go back to your campaigns and you can see the campaign and it will tell you how many sales.
Okay. So
see if I can find it.
So if you're doing that, you know, you're going to want to record the type of email you sent. I know that you can change up your recipient list. So it could be to all the followers. It could be just to people who've only purchased, you know, during the time period or have only purchased period, you know, that kind of stuff. And then, you know, like the timing of sending that out, you know, Memorial Day weekend, a bust. Doesn't mean we should not do it next time. Probably, no, we should probably still do it. And we also have to remember that we were competing against the whole world who had Memorial Day sales.
Yes.
You know? So, but
that people can go to in person.
Yeah. So, you know, there's just a lot of metrics involved in that if you start to do it, you would want to track some of that so that you can say, okay, when I did this at this time period, it worked, and when I did it at this time period, it did not work, and so I need to put this on the calendar so I can do this again. So we're kind of experiencing something right now, and so when you're asking yourself, well, why is this important? Well, one is customer retention, and that means that there's some people that just don't know that we have. Maybe they bought a polo shirt from us, you know, but they had no idea that we got some. Well, currently, because it's not normal for us, but I mean, that we have locks and door hinges and cabinet poles.
Yeah. So they
and they might be like, well, heck, I had such a great
experience
with them. Like if they got doorknobs, I need doorknobs. Like let me reach out to them. You know, it's also cost-effective engagement. You know, like if you can get something going back and forth, guess what? It doesn't cost you anything to send an email.
That's true.
You know. Or messages related to like what I'm doing over the last couple of days with a guy who's going to end up probably buying quite a bit of hardware from me. So, you know, that's going back and forth now. So anyway, you know, if you're doing newsletters and that kind of stuff, like guess what? If you're doing them and someone else is not doing them, then hey, you're more likely to have success. So
you know, it is amazing. I think that the amount of effort, how little extra effort it takes to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much because most people are doing the bare minimum. You know, there's some other stuff like, you know, just cross-platform campaigns. If you're doing that, you want to see, you know, we are considering the possibility of maybe Poshmark or something like that because we've heard that Poshmark is really good for men's clothes, but every time we think about that, we have limited bandwidth, and we back off. The other thing that I, because I do so many of our in-listing sales similars, and it's not the first time I maybe have ended it and relisted it because I fixed something, you know, 3 months ago, and then I'm like fixing something else now. It's similar to what Hope from the YouTube world when people are testing different thumbnails. It could be the exact same video with the exact same title. I don't know.
We found that today.
Can you adjust the title when you're doing this
Yeah.
and it's still, so it could be the exact same video, but you've changed the thumbnail and you've changed the title because you're like, that doesn't really describe this very
Yeah.
well. So
You can change the description, you can change the title, and you can change the thumbnail. You just, if you do it, I think you're supposed to be able to shave a little bit off the either end, maybe, and it's still considered the same video.
yeah. So
But
not really sure how
so
that works.
play
because-
around with the listings and make them
Yeah, because one,
change the first photo, maybe.
well, this goes back to, yes, one of the things is that we are fixing the first photo. We do that every time now.
So-
we didn't used to do that.
What if, because currently our first photo, let's just say it's that jacket, our first photo would be the full thing. But sometimes when you're scrolling on your phone, it's hard to see details if you're looking at the whole item, like a pair of pants or something. Like, might it be of some benefit to do more of a zoom in of like the chest of a shirt?
Well, an example of this one right here is that maybe it was yesterday or the day before, we did one almost exactly the same, but it was North Face.
Yeah,
So maybe we could have zoomed in
on the North Face.
on the North
portion.
Face. That's the first thing, and then somebody says, "Oh, North Face."
Okay.
But and it could be that.
I need to experiment with that a little bit.
And there was a tag on that one. I think it's called Thunderbolt or something like that. So it could be that that's a specific thing that's really important. So for me, one of the simple ones that I just started thinking about this a good bit is that, we've heard that if you leave the word size out, say you're, doing shirts, and if you don't say size large, you just say large. Well, you might miss out on people searching because if they say, I'm looking for a men's polo size large, well, yours doesn't say size. So
Just
you
says
may
large.
not get seen.
Yeah.
Well, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this a good bit. So I started trying it with ties. Okay, now we put the size of a tie, which is basically is the width of the widest part and then the length. But I was including the word size. I started adding it and doing my listings. And then when you go into that little magical area, which I can't remember the name, that box, but when you're doing a listing in the box over to the right of where you're putting the price,
Oh, see similar.
you can go over here and you can play around to see what other people are pricing things with. So that's a whole proper video I need to do on just how I go about that right there. But when size is included in my ties, I think it was a negative. So, one of the easiest ways, if you ever run across this, like we've run into this a couple times, we've had like 3 pairs of the exact same jeans. Well, the temptation is just that you just sell similar, which that can be a negative thing with eBay. But we should have done all 3 pairs of pants and changed something up with each listing. And if we listed them the same day, and then we did 3 different things,
Yeah, and see which gets eyeballs.
which one sold first? So it's kind of referred to as like A/B testing, but like you.
Well, we actually, last week, I listed 3 pairs of pants, 3 pairs of jeans that really they were all the same, roughly the same size. Like the inseam was a little bit different on each one. So they each had their own individual photos because they're small tweaks, but that would be a good one to pull those 3 listings and experiment with the,
Yeah,
do some ABC testing.
because you need to learn, play with those. So anyway, I need to lay in this.